we're going to be covering the diversity problem. So we watched part 1. Now we got part 2. This is the good stuff. Diversity problem in Valve. This is something that, I'm sure a lot of people love to think is true. But at the end of the day, if you're worried about diversity with a company that is focused on being filled with the most intelligent, strongest, mentally filled people in the world, honestly, diversity should be the least of your concern. You should interview everyone equally that can pass the test initially, whether they're black, white, or in between, it doesn't matter, and see if they could do the job. Because again, they're not going for the perfect amount of skin color combination. They're going for the people who can do the job and actually do the job properly in their company. But let's see what's going on over at Valve and if they have a diversity problem. Here we go. Part 2 to this. Yeah, I'm facepalming already. I'm facepalming.
I can't tell you how many women work at Valve, or people of color, or non-binary folks, or those who identify as LGBTQ or disabled people, because, well, Valve is a private company and it doesn't need to disclose those numbers, and also it didn't respond to our own requests.
Based. Don't respond to shit. Because you look at this man's eyes, you can clearly see that he does not have good faith at all. He is not good faith at all. I'm glad they didn't respond to his fucking request. You don't need to know that information, man. All you need to know is whether the company is doing what it sets out to do. And if the company is doing a great job, that's all that matters. Does Steam provide a good place for digital retail? Does Valve produce good games and handle those games accordingly? And are they creating good products that are consoles like the Steam Deck that can give gamers what they want? That's it. What the fuck what gamer out there cares, or what gamer out there would benefit by knowing how many black people, how many white people, how many Asians are at Valve? What is that information going to do for anybody who consumes their products? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The only people that care about it are people that don't consume their products, which is him. That's it.
For those figures. However, multiple interviewees that we spoke to described the company as having an enormous lack of diversity, even by games industry standards. Valve is, I'm told, extremely white and extremely male.
I feel like they've passed a critical...
Why is that bad? Again, why is that bad? If they're getting the job done, I don't give a fuck. If Valve was majority male and majority black and they were doing the same exact job that they're doing now, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Why do you care? It is the weirdest thing to care about the skin color of the people working on a product that you supposedly consume. It doesn't matter. But anyway.
Mark. It used to be that there were maybe 10 or 15% women in the development teams. So nobody was usually the only woman in the room. But definitely now, I think they've dipped below that point.
Valve's structure is what makes it difficult to gain momentum on anything where the value add isn't immediately obvious to certain people, though. And that certainly includes any project with a word.
I feel like, wouldn't you feel more special considering that if you're trying to say the majority of the company is white and male, wouldn't you feel more special knowing how strict those guidelines and requirements are to work at Valve, and you were one of the few of any women that were good enough to actually fucking get into the job? Wouldn't you feel a little bit special? Be like, damn, I was good enough to hang with these guys. Knowing that you weren't a diversity hire. You know what I mean? You mean to tell me you would feel better knowing that you were a DEI hire? Because you went to work for a company that has a multitude of women there just because they're women? Versus working at Valve that you know they're there because you were able to keep up with everybody else? I feel like that would make you feel way more special. But see, the problem is that these people, it's the ones who want to get there disingenuously. You got a bunch of people that want to go hang out and work at Valve, and they want to get there without putting in the work or without putting in the effort. But Valve is a private company that's not going to put up with that shit because they don't have to. They don't answer to ESG investors. They don't answer to DEI investors. They don't answer to any of that. In any case,
diversity is mentioned.
A lot of contractors are female. That's not very unusual. The lower down the ladder you go, the more quote-unquote diverse it becomes. And the higher up you go, the whiter and male it becomes. While I was there was never more than one female programmer at the company.
It was also pointed out to me that although certain parts of the company are staffed
Sounds based to me. Let me stop.
predominantly by women, like HR and finance, which are much more clearly defined roles, those people, because they're clearly defined roles, have less freedom to move between projects or change their role entirely, as say an engineer might. So what's going on here exactly? What is it about Valve that makes this problem even worse than at similar sized games companies? Well, let's start here. As Valve states in its own handbook, it's not good at mentoring people, nor does...
Yeah, actually, Redonk makes a good comment. Look at this comment. Valve is so selective with the hiring, someone got mad and made a video. That is so true. That's fucking great. That's great. They got denied the ability to work there. They're like, fuck this. I'm going to make a hit piece video. Let me call Epic Games right now and get it funded. That's literally what happened here, bro.
Does
Oh
Valve
my
have
God.
an internship program or a college graduate pipeline? And that's by design, because remember, its ideal candidate is a high-powered, self-directed, senior decision maker.
By its own admission, Valve only hires senior people. That compounds the issue, because part of making any field more diverse is that you have to start introducing diversity into it. Valve's not going to be one of the places that helps in that, because it doesn't hire junior people, which means your pool of diverse hires is even smaller to begin with, and it's going to be so much harder to hire someone who is a woman, or isn't white, or any of the things that isn't your average Valve employee profile.
So you mean to tell me that there's no senior diverse people in the gaming industry? And it's only white people? I don't think it's a bad thing that Valve hires only senior people with all the experience in the world, considering that they specifically stated that they want to hire the best of the best for their company. They want to hire the best of the best. So why are you assuming that there's no senior diverse people that could be hired for this company? And then it makes you wonder why. It makes you wonder why, if that's the case, if there isn't enough senior diverse people in this industry, it makes you wonder, why is that? Why is that? Is it because they're not being hired, or is it because they don't make it? And if they don't make it, why is that? You know what I mean? It kind of brings up a lot of questions that I don't really have answers for right now. But anyway.
There have been efforts made over the years by various employees who've pushed to make Valve more representative of the world around it. However, I'm told these efforts are largely blocked by either the company's structure or its leadership. Take stat ranking, for example. To be able to properly judge the value of someone's work through stat ranking, you need two things. First of all, you need to have actually seen them do that work in the first place. And secondly, if you have seen it, you need to understand that work enough to recognize it as something worthwhile.
I'm going to put it to you like this. This is an argument for the sake of diversity, just for diversity. There is no argument to be made here that diversity, just for the sake of diversity, is going to increase Valve's overall success, is going to make Valve a better company. There is no proof of that. There is no substantiated evidence of that. And if anything, there's more evidence to the contrary. So you saying that, oh, this company is not very diverse and it's very white and it's very old or whatever and very male, okay, that's fine. How is diversity going to help this company? Oh, you don't have an answer? Okay, well, I have an answer to how it's not going to. Because look at all these other studios that are infected by being public companies and having ESG and DEI mandates that require this bullshit diversity hiring that based on everything other than merit. Look at what's happening to those companies. You got shitty programmers. You got shitty community managers. You got shitty people who are there who are incapable of doing their job properly, which has now followed us through and has given us even worse quality in our video games over the last 5 to 10 years. It has only gotten worse. Games are releasing more broken. Games are releasing completely unfinished, more than they ever did. And then community managers are attacking people because they're complaining about the issues in the game. They don't know what it's like to actually talk to a customer base, because they have no proper training. But you want to, and not only that, everything went up in cost too. So there is plenty of proof to showcase that DEI hiring is not going to help Valve in the slightest. That's not to say that they can't have non-white people in there. But if non-white people or white people or anybody is going to get in that company, they're going to get there based on their merits. And if you have a problem with that, then you can see yourself to the door because you clearly don't have to work for this private company that could do whatever they want, right? Right? Because that's the fucking excuse you give all the time when public companies do stupid shit. And public companies have to answer to people. Private companies, that's a whole nother story. So Steam is a private company. What the fuck do you care about? Oh, because you want to work there, right? You want to hang. See, here's the thing. You want to hang with the big boys, right? You want to hang with the big boys, but you know you don't have the skills or the abilities to hang with the big boys. So you're trying to employ feminine warfare that got women who couldn't do certain jobs hired in the first place. This is the reason why even construction workers have fucking DEI mandates when they got to hire women that they damn sure know isn't going to rock a jackhammer 99% of the time, which is why they hold the fucking stop sign. No offense, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you are trying to get in there by any means necessary because you know that's the place to be. You know that's the place to be. You know Valve is the place to work that most people want to work. So you can't get there on your merit. So now you're going to try to get there by what? Making them feel bad? Yeah, let's see how that works.
Comes to this idea of you doing the work that you think is the most valuable. The people who usually think the business can improve by having more diverse representation are the people who are not in the majority already. That work is exhausting and it is way less measurable. At the end of the day, am I going to get counted for doing all this work? Some people say yes, but I don't know, man. It's not like shipping a game or working on a very specific shippable feature. If you're tying your performance to how many non-white dudes you hire, that's a dangerous combination. It feels extremely insurmountable.
There was never any sort of anti-bias training or even preamble to the process of ranking people from different backgrounds to you.
In the end, it was like, why?
No bias training. So basically no training to make white people feel bad about being white. Sounds pretty base to me.
Am I fighting these uphill battles and try and make the tiniest incremental positive changes when I could be doing better and more satisfying work elsewhere? I think a number of people who have left recently came to a similar conclusion.
Now, Valve is famously picky about the people it hires.
It sounds like Valve is doing a great job at weeding out people that they mistakenly hired. That's what it sounds like to me. The people who are being interviewed right now who are bitching and complaining about not being able to get to the top of Valve, and they're trying to say it's because they're a woman or because they're black. Sounds like Valve is doing a great job at weeding these people out. That's what it sounds like.
The handbook lays out. Hiring well is the most important thing in the universe. Nothing else comes close. It's more important than breathing. Interestingly, anybody at Valve can be a part of the hiring process, whether they've been there for 20 years or only recently joined. You can sit in on interviews, speak to candidates, and eventually have a say on whether or not they actually end up at the company. One current employee told me they believe that part of what made this such a gauntlet for potential employees at Valve actually came down to some of the risks that were involved when you're doing the hiring.
It's much safer to criticize.
Yeah, this never quite made sense to me. How are you going to complain about this company and how this company apparently is racist or whatever, but you want to be a higher up manager in this company too? Like you want to be at the top of the top in this company, but you're also going to complain about the company having a diversity problem. So you want to be at the top of a company that supposedly has a diversity problem, that supposedly is racist and whatnot. It's like, that doesn't make it, bro. Just tell me you're jealous, bro. That I feel like it's so much easier if you just say that. Tell me you're jealous and tell me that you want the job without putting in the effort. I would be a lot more respectful of that.
Someone than it is to defend them. This is a dynamic with people in general, but it's just at Valve, so many things work this way, and this dynamic comes out more. It's easy to cast doubt on something because you can always seem more intelligent or discerning if you say, I don't know about that. Whereas if you speak out on behalf of something and say, I think this thing is really great, or I think this person is really great, you're opening yourself up to a much greater risk in terms of how you're perceived by other people at Valve. Whereas if you said, yeah, I just don't think this person can cut it, you're really taking zero risk whatsoever. That's a very safe reaction to have.
And of course, what's going to be considered riskier? Hiring someone that looks like you and sounds like you, or hiring someone from a completely...
What the fuck is with the purple light? I just realized that this guy is utilizing the same purple light and the same purple hue that all of these major AAA studios are utilizing in their video games because they're trying to... Like, what is it? You're trying to adhere to the LGBTQ community or something like that? What is with this purple fucking hue? They all do this. Dragon Age of Veilguard had it. Fucking Ubisoft's what do you call it? X Defiant had it. Like, what is going on here? What is with the purple hue? It's very weird.
Different background altogether.
Bisexual lighting, is that what it's called? Okay, well that makes sense. I just thought he was a vegan, considering how he looks like he's halfway close to dead.
There's nothing in an overt, sinister sense that's discriminatory about the Valve hiring process, except in the way that all hiring processes select for people that are like the people doing the hiring. However, there are two compounding problems facing Valve. There's the existing demographic profile of Valve, but also the hiring process is so incredibly stringent and so difficult to pass people through, you're even less likely to get a diverse group of people at the end of it. To get hired at Valve, you basically have to not get vetoed by anybody you've encountered in the hiring process. And so you're saying the hole you have to fit through is so incredibly narrow. And there are already more middle-aged white guys in the games industry than any other group of people. So those few who make it through are most likely going to be from that group.
Multiple current and former employees tell me they believe this issue is not being addressed because Valve's leadership simply does not understand it, despite the best efforts of those who over the years have really pushed for people to take it more seriously within the company.
It's not that they don't. Wait, let me hear this.
Not that they're knowingly or explicitly sexist or racist or homophobic or anything. It's just bias. They think, why bother doing outreach to some other population when we know the only thing that works is hiring people just like us?
Oh my God, bro. Don't you guys find this to be very interesting? How this supposed former Valve employee is saying that the company has a bias, and this is the same company that does not require you to take bias training. So basically what it is that Valve accidentally hired a Wokey, and the Wokey thought that they could get higher up in the company just based off the fact that they're a Wokey, find out that doesn't work at Valve. Now they left or got fired or whatever, and now they're here shit talking Valve on behalf of Epic Games or whatever. Like, what are we doing, bro? What are we doing? This company doesn't have bias training because they don't believe inherently in the same shit that you do, which is white people bad, okay? Like, no, they don't believe in that. So whoever this person is clearly believes in that and thinks that the entire company should believe it in too. You're working for the wrong company. You should go work for Ubisoft while they're still owned by the Guillemot brothers. Go work for them ASAP. They will absolutely love you and adore you. They might even promote you as they continue to destroy their own company. But Valve doesn't believe in that mindset. Valve doesn't believe in that ideology. And you are clearly at the wrong fucking backyard. You are in the wrong backyard, bro.
Imagine if you've been in positions of power since like 2000 and you've never really had to be accountable to anyone other than your coworkers that always look like you and think like you pretty much.
Oh, cope.
And you've been
cope. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like what we are currently seeing in other AAA studios, where all these people are fucking up left and right, and they never have to be held accountable because they're surrounded by people that look like them and think like them. Gee, that sounds really similar. Except the difference is one company is successful and other companies are failing. So guess which company I'm going to listen to? You think I'm going to listen to the fucking company that is filled by a bunch of supposed old white guys that are doing exactly great? Or am I going to listen to the company filled by all these diverse losers that are out here destroying the company before my eyes when the company used to be way more successful before they got involved? Gee, who am I going to listen to?
been extremely financially successful. You become extremely conservative and risk averse without understanding that's what you become.
Nah, bro, this shit is fake. I'm sorry. This interviewer, this is fake, bro. There's no way that there's this many former Valve employees that are all wokies that have left the company and are now speaking out against it and against its diversity issue. There's no way. I don't believe this. There's no fucking way.
Did all these ways to justify that you're being risk averse, but really you're just saying the status quo is fine because it's comfortable.
Actually, given we just discussed hiring, let's turn our attention.
The status quo is fine because the status quo clearly works, right? So the people who are there, who are higher ups, who have been there for a long time, why shake it up if it's working? Why shake it up if Valve continues to grow every single year? Why would they remove themselves as a private company when it's clearly working? Why? So you could just randomly hire one female or one black person to say you did it? Bro, that's so disingenuous. It's clearly working. It's clearly successful. Why fuck it up? This is what happens to companies. The companies get fucked up because they got to listen to this stupid shit like this. If it's not broken, you know what I'm saying? Don't fix
to the other end of the spectrum as well. If Valve is a company where you can choose your own work and there is no real management, how do people actually get fired? What's stopping me, Chris Pratt, from squirreling myself away in a corner somewhere, playing Marvel Snap for the next 2 years and calling it competitor analysis?
I think we should try putting Iron Man in Artifact.
So ideally, I'm told this process should begin with
you are not good at jokes. You are not good at jokes.
Your co-workers around you noticing your performance or that something is wrong and letting you know that ahead of time. If things don't improve, it might then get flagged during, for example, the stat ranking process.
I'm gonna skip ahead. Fuck this part. I'm gonna skip ahead to this part that says disagreement over Black Lives Matter. Oh, I gotta see this. Oh, St. Floyd. I gotta see this. Hold on.
Frustration spilled out into a wider discussion within the company after the murder of George Floyd in early 2020, as a group of employees within Valve pushed for the company to make a public statement in support of the Black Lives Matter movement.
There was a huge amount of internal contention about whether Valve should say anything about this, because there was increasing pressure on companies to address what was going on. There were people who felt desperately passionate that Valve needed to do and say something proactive. And there were also people who felt incredibly passionate, regardless of their own individual political convictions, that Valve should not and must not do so.
Smart.
I'm told the employees
based. Whoever said don't say shit, based.
On the Valve should say something side, were more united in their reasons for why that was the case. They'd argue that the company had the opportunity.
Congratulations, everybody in this squad right here. First off, look at this. Most of the people marching ain't even black. Look at the white sauce back here. Look at all the mayo in the background. Okay, number one, you got a random Asian chick over. I just want to say, every single one of these people who are here in this march right now, you're all idiots. Every single one of you are fucking retards. Every single one of you who donated to BLM, idiots, stupid, dumb. Thank God you're not running a fucking company like Valve, you morons. Because you donated to a couple of black lesbians that took all your money and they said, fuck you, I'm going to go buy some mansions in a white neighborhood to increase my generational wealth while you get fucked. So congratulations, you fell for a lie, you fucking idiots.
Here to use its influence to stand against the discrimination of black people, both in America and throughout the rest of the world. And that...
Yeah, every fist in the air stands for I got fucked. Yeah, let's see, every fist. Every fist in the air. Look, the ones on the t-shirt counts as a double fist. Because that's what happened to you. Every fist in the air. Fucked. Everybody. Fucked. 3 people in the back. Fucked. Every one of them. Every single one of you.
Was a valuable moral thing to do. And more than that, if Valve were to choose to remain apolitical here, that would be, in fact, the company making a political stance and not an impressive one. Some on the other side of the argument disagreed because of their own partisan allegiances, although I'm told that was a relatively rare stance to take. More common were the beliefs that Valve, as a video games company, had no business getting involved in something like this at all.
Correct. They don't. It's a video game company. What the fuck does anybody care about their statement about Black Lives Matter? Who cares? Who listens to a fucking... Who is going to be out there and say like, oh my God, thank God Valve made a statement. Oh, thank God. Thank God. Now that Valve made a statement, everything is just so much better. So much better. If Valve would have made that statement, the world would have been over. But now that Valve made the statement, thank God. Clearly, George Floyd's soul can move on now. Clearly, he can go from the first level of hell to the second level of hell. Thank God. Thank God that happened.
Or alternatively, others asked if Valve did choose to say something about BLM, where would be the cutoff point? Would Valve also make similar statements?
You know where you don't see this? You know where you don't see these amazing murals, right? These amazing Black Lives Matter murals and all these rainbow flag murals and everything like that. You know where you don't see them? Because you see them in the inner cities. You see them where the poor people are at. But you know where you don't see them? You don't see them in the gated communities where they bought their mansions at. That's where you don't see them. You don't see Black Lives Matter and rainbow flag, all that shit in the streets of the gated communities that the black lesbians bought their mansions in. You don't see it there, but you see it in the poor areas.
It's about other discrimination and atrocities happening around the world. If so, which ones and why not the others? Better not to say anything at all. In the end, no public statement was released, and several
Everybody in this crowd got fucked. Congratulations. That is a massive crowd of fucked. Unbelievable.
employees I've spoken to blame Valve's leadership outright for that decision. Although employees from across the company had very strong feelings about what should happen, they claim that Valve's most senior names dug their heels in and stopped any real momentum from being built.
They had a lot of conversations and then decided that as a company, they're not going to say anything.
Good.
And that's how Valve rolls. They
Good.
don't feel that they have to say anything.
They don't.
Whether it's a trend or a moral compass.
Good job.
I think a lot of it comes from Gabe Newell directly.
However,
Gabe is fucking base then. Good job, Gabe.
Also been told that the larger hurdle to overcome was in fact Valve's structure, its lack of managers and clear hierarchy. Even after months of discussion, it was difficult to land on any one message that everybody at the company could agree to. Who should write it? Where should it be published? And what kind of commitments should actually be made? These questions bounced around for weeks with no true consensus ever being reached. And eventually the whole idea—
If you are silent, you are complicit. So are you complicit with the 3 lesbians who bought mansions in white neighborhoods? Because you guys haven't said anything about that. So are you complicit with that?
The idea of a public statement was replaced with an internal one sent to all Valve staff via email, and with it, money.
Ultimately, the thing that was landed on was that Valve would give every employee $10,000 to do with whatever philanthropic desire they have.
Every employee could choose when and how to donate that money to the charity of their choice.
Smart.
There were no strings attached. So of course it wasn't required that it was donated.
There are a few different ways
Smart.
of looking at that transaction, I think. If I'm being generous,
I wonder how many of those people actually donated anything. All those people who were so like, oh my God, I'm telling you right now, most people did not donate. I'm calling it right now. All those fucking white liberals that were there, they were taking that $10,000 and they were being told, hey, listen, you can donate it to whoever you want or you can keep it. How many of them do you think kept that shit? Do you really think they were out there complaining about George Floyd? No, bro. They went to Punta Cana. They went to the Dominican Republic and they were surrounded by a bunch of brown people. And Emily was getting railed every single night, spending her $10,000 bonus. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. You know your dumbass didn't care about no George Floyd when you got that 10 grand. You saw that 10 grand. You were like, oh my God, I need me some Spanish poppies. You know what, Puppy George Floyd, you're going to have to just wait a little bit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Miss me with that nonsensical shit.
Generous, I'd say that Valve coughing up, nearly $4 million in this moment, allowing their employees to spread that to charities that they think are worthwhile, will have made a tangible difference to the world. And perhaps if there's no consensus on what charities should be supported by Valve itself, allowing employees to make that decision personally is at least a compromise and does result in something happening, and quickly too, rather than further weeks.
Ain't nothing happening. You know what? Gabe ain't stupid. Gabe is not stupid. Gabe knows that money talks and bullshit walks. So he knows if he got a bunch of angry white leftists that are complaining about, oh my God, you didn't say anything about George Floyd. Why didn't you say anything about George Floyd? You don't understand. This is Saint Floyd. He knew that if he gave all those employees $10,000, they would shut the fuck up. And guess what happened? They shut the fuck up. That's exactly what happened. He's not stupid. Fucking Gabe is a goddamn genius. He really is. He gave him 10 grand to shut up. He's like, here, take 10 grand, go be quiet. Cállate, you stupid motherfucker. Like, it worked out. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Months of debate. However, if I'm being less generous, I'd ask if that was simply seen as the acceptable price to pay to stay silent by a company's leadership whose lives are about as far removed from people like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor as you can possibly get. Also, the no strings attached thing is—
I like how he's trying to be judgmental about the company being so white that is far removed from Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. Meanwhile, this is coming from someone who looks like a halfway fed Gollum, like a white version of Gollum with hair. This is what we're talking about. Are you serious right now, bro? You are the furthest thing removed from George Floyd. You're not even fucking American, my guy. At least not from your accent anyway. You're not fucking American. So you're over here trying to say that Gabe is far removed from George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Bro, who are you to talk? Who are you to talk, bro? You're 5 seconds away from looking for a ring and saying my precious. Like, get the fuck out of here with that, bro.
As you can possibly get. Also, the no strings attached thing is somewhat uncomfortable to think about. It would have allowed for somebody at Valve who did not believe in Black Lives Matter and what it represented to have received $10,000 as the direct result of a black man being murdered by the police. And then instead of donating that money, they could have kept it for themselves. Or if they did donate it,
They
to
all
pick a
kept
group
it.
that opposes BLM's goals. I don't know if that's happened here, but the opportunity was certainly there. Around this time, there was also...
I guarantee you, if this guy got $10,000, he would not donate it to George Floyd. Actually, I take that back. He's probably stupid enough to do it, to be honest with you. But still, this guy's an absolute fucking idiot. Listen, I'm done. I'm done with this guy. We're done. He's going to keep going into Black Lives Matter and everything like that. I really don't. I don't care. We got to do waifu battle, and I got work I got to catch up on. Fuck this guy. This guy's an absolute idiot. This is what happens when you're a vegan. Sorry to all my vegans out there. This is the final form. If you get far enough, this is what you become. This Smeagol looking motherfucker. I'm done with this guy. Fuck this guy.